Hey, I'm Brian Phillips with Swell Guy Customs, and what I've got here is one of the funkiest shoes from the 90s. We're talking about the Nike Air More Uptempo. Today I'm going to show you how to customize this complex shoe and all the different techniques we need to get into all the little areas. Now that we got our shoe all prepped and deglazed, it's time to mask it off and get started painting. For the first layer of color, I'm going to be airbrushing, so I'm going to make sure I get this masked off perfectly to avoid any paint overspraying on any areas that I don't want paint touching. So I want this shoe to have a sky blue look, so I'm going to mix some pale blue with some Duller to give it that matte finish. With Duller, you only want to use just a few drops, because if you put too much, it's going to have a very dry, chalky look to it, and it might flake and peel. And then to get it ready for the airbrush, I'm going to add some tooth in. This next step is probably one of the most important parts when it comes to airbrushing. You're going to want to pour your paint through a strainer before putting it in the cup. This paint sometimes gets little particles or dried pieces of paint, and the strainer is going to catch it and stop it from getting into the airbrush. And we're going to take our airbrush and we're just going to spray even, light layers one at a time. Usually takes about 3 to 4 layers on the airbrush. You want to keep your airbrush straight at the same angle every time. If you keep coming at it from different angles, you might overload certain areas and you're not going to get an even coverage. So we got our base coat of sky blue onto the shoe, and we're going to remove this tape and get working on the rest of the paint details. So I'm going to go in with a detail brush and just fill in any spots I might have missed with the airbrush. So now that we got the general coverage of the blue on the shoe, I also got to apply it to the top of the tongue, which is leather. This is going to be a little bit tricky as we have the 3 elastic bands right off the top. So what I usually do is I push it down and I'll just squeeze it out in between those bands and just pull it out. And there I can try to maneuver it and paint it to get it to match the blue on the shoe. With this area, because you're so close to the mesh and the rest of the shoe, you're going to want to be a little bit careful. So I'll use an angular brush so I can get those tight corners and just put on nice, easy, gentle layers. Now that we got this base blue down, it's time to spice things up a little bit. I love this silhouette, but I always feel like the Air logo on the side is underutilized. So now I'm going to add some style to that by adding some color and a little bit of fun design to it. I'm going to make a custom pink color, adding 1 part petal pink to 1 part Georgia peach. Using this paint mixture, I'm going to take a number 10 flat brush. I'm going to apply a base coat of the pink down up to the first thread. With the base pink down, we could kind of just leave this as is and have just a pink and blue colorway, but I'd like to do a little bit more to it, so I'm going to add some cloud shapes to each of the letters. I'll take a micro angular brush and just around the edges of the lettering, I'm just going to add some round edges. I think one of the big reasons why I like working on this shoe is that you get so much weird variety with the layers of leather and the different fabric materials, and it kind of creates this fun little challenge for you trying to figure out how to get these shapes and these designs on a shoe that's got a lot of speed bumps along the way. It's really challenged me as an artist, but I feel like it's made me better and more patient along the way. I try to make every custom that I do look almost retail and off the shelves, and with this pair it's kind of probably the most difficult shoe I've ever had to get that look. I'm going to take a mixture of some Georgia peach and white to get some highlights on the clouds. Now that we got our cloud design down, all that's left to do is to add some color to the fabric areas using a mixture of paint and 2Soft. So using that pink mixture from earlier, I'm gonna add some 2Soft to it, and it'll be ready for all the fabric areas of the shoe. The 2Soft mixture soaks in pretty well with the elastic, so you don't need too much since we're using a light color on white. Probably about 2 to 3 coats anyways, just in case. So then we're going to heat set it for about 4 or 5 minutes and let that paint soak into the elastic. I'm going to take this time and paint the inside of the shoe to match the elastic bands. The inside is sort of a hard mesh material, so you're going to have to get a lot of layers down on this one. So I just do a whole general coverage, maybe heat set it, and then do another layer after that. Using hot pink with a little bit of 2Soft, I'm going to paint these lace tabs on the tongue and heel to match some of the laces that we're going to put on later. We got our design finalized, so now it's time to hit the final step of covering it in the matte acrylic finisher and lacing them up and they're ready to go. This just sort of seals it off and finishes off the paint, giving it one even, solid look. We're going to finish off these shoes with some reflective rope laces brought to us by Lace Lab. And there you have it. We got ourselves a pair of Cotton Candy Cloud custom Uptempos. As you can see, it was a long process, but if you just take it step by step, you can really take your bland white shoes and really make them pop and stand out. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and you can check out the rest of my work, including a slime version of this Uptempo, on Instagram at Swell Guy Customs and Facebook at Swell Guy Customs. You can also watch me paint live on Twitch at Swell Guy Bri. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.